Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fahreza. In this session, I would like to present to all of you our research with the title Lesson Learned from Domino Effect of Coronavirus Pandemic to Gold Price in Indonesia 2020. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Fahreza. I was graduate from Geological Engineering Bachelor degree in Diponegoro University, and currently I work in Indonesia as contract service under PT Peteka Karya Gapura, and previously I worked in Indonesia and PT Saffron Pacific Indonesia as internship. Moving into our research, this is the outline presentation that I would deliver to all of you. The first one is introduction, and then this is data and method, result and discussion, conclusion, reference, and acknowledge. Introduction, the COVID-19, as we know, this is the disease caused by a new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2. And this virus already spread all over the world with 66 million people already affected with this virus, and 2.2% of those people already dead. And this virus first hit in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, and began in Indonesia itself, start from March 2020. Several countries create regulation, lockdown regulation or semi-lockdown regulation, and that resulting in limiting activity of the people, and this is creating the economic paralysis or unstable economic condition. And the pandemic creating domino effect on the global and national economic appears significant. And this paper highlight this phenomenon of rapidly increasing of the gold price and its fluctuation during the COVID-19 pandemic since March until December 2020. And in this slide, on the left side, this is the global GDP from 2009 until 2021. And as you can see in here, in 2020, the GDP is fall into minus 3.03%, which much lower than 2009 when the global economic crisis happened. On the right side, you see this is the global gold price provided by Bloomberg. As you can see in here, the gold price is a very significant and dynamic fluctuation during the pandemic. And in this research, we would like to see if there is any relation between coronavirus and this gold price fluctuation. And in this research, we are collecting data and using several methods. The first one data that we use is the essential data, is the gold price provided by Antam Tbk as the Indonesia main gold producer and also the largest provider gold in Indonesia. And also we are using data from Satuan Tugas Penanganan COVID-19 for the number of case update for each first period for several periods. And also we are using several information and news data from national and international news platform that we think that they are credible enough and their article is responsible enough to be included in this research. After that, we are doing data correlations between national gold price, international gold price, dollar and rupiah exchange rate, and also number of COVID-19 cases in Indonesia. And also we are doing an interview with the gold trader in Indonesia. Moving forward to result and discussion. This is the graphic showing gold price versus number of case coronavirus in Indonesia during March 2020 until November 2020. The blue line in here, it represents the number of cases in Indonesia, and also the orange bar represent the gold price periodically. As you can see in here, the number of cases is keep increasing by the time, and whether the gold price have a different pattern that in several moments, like in May and June, September and October, there are several downturn in the gold price. Based on this graphic, we think that the price of gold is not affected directly by the number of coronavirus case. And also, we think that there is an indirect relationship between coronavirus and gold price. So we all want to look what is the indirect relationship, how the coronavirus affect the gold price. And before we are going further, we have to understand the basic factor that affect the gold price. Based on liputan6.com said that there are three main factors that affect the gold price. The first one is the dollar exchange rate or the power of the gold. And then the safe haven and the volatility of occurred. These three main factors have a role increasing and decreasing the demand of the gold. And the market condition itself can control those three factors. And the market condition also can be unstable because of several causes such as war and pandemic. And this is the gold and economic crisis through history. We want to show you that there's so many research say that there is a good relationship between crisis and gold, because gold is considered as an asset that offer an inflation hedge due to its low or negative correlation with inflation and currency devaluation. And some research say that the gold is often perceived as safe haven as an asset that protect wealth and value inflation time in inflation time. So it means that gold is a good choice for many years when the crisis happened. And this is the international gold price from Bloomberg and Indonesian gold price provided by Antam. In here, we want to see if there is any difference between national and international gold price. And we see there is no significant difference because we know that actually gold price was decided internationally. And moving forward, looking deep into Indonesian gold price, we found out there's a 3 period that have particular fluctuation. The first one is the early case period and first peak. The second one is semi-lockdown period and second peak on April until June 2020. And the semi-lockdown transition period and the third peak on July until November 2020. The first period, early case period, and the first peak on March 2020. As you can see in here, there is a significant increase in gold price in the early March, and after that was followed by decreasing price of gold. And at the beginning, at the increasing price, we see that at that moment, the Indonesian government has officially stated that there was the first case of COVID-19 in Indonesia. As we remember, on the 2nd March, our president declared that there is a first case in Indonesia. And also on international level, BBC News said that the coronavirus starts spreading in many countries with and accelerating the number of cases globally. And because of this, we think that people are looking for stable and safe investment. One of them is precious metal, including gold. And after that, it was followed by decreasing price. And we think that at that moment, the panic effect slowly under control and people start adapting and probably think that this virus could probably gone as soon as possible. But we will see after this. The second period, the semi-lockdown period, and the second peak starts from April 2020 until June 2020. In here, we see, in the beginning, we see there is a very, very dramatically increasing the gold price. And we see at that moment, on 17 March, the dollar exchange rate touched around about 15,000 rupiah and keep increasing until 20 March 2020 with the exchange rate become 16,273 rupiah. Why this dollar exchange rate affect the gold price? Because based on the research, there are negative correlation between gold price and the dollar exchange rate. And when the dollar become weakened, the gold price will flying high and vice versa. And then after that, the second peak occur on 4th April 2020. And that moment we see that on the 2nd April, the dollar exchange rate was peaked with the exchange rate around about 16,741 rupiah. And also at that moment, the DKI Jakarta decided to do the second semi-lockdown for Jakarta province. And after that, it was followed by a decreasing price of the gold, because we see this moment that Indonesia rupiah successfully record the highest growth in Asia in trading Thursday, 30 April 2020. And also from 13 April 2020 until 5 June, the dollar exchange rate was slowing down with a final value around about 13,000. So in this moment, from previously, the dollar exchange rate was high and making the gold price become higher, and followed by the increasing power of the dollar make the gold price decrease. And Liputan 6 said that the gold price fell to their lowest level in more than a week at the close of trading Monday due to the strong dollar United States of America. This is due to the investor being quite optimistic that US economy will recover because the lockdown will be over. And we are moving to this third period. The third period was semi-lockdown transition period, and the third peak starting from July 2020 until November 2020. And in this period, there is the highest peak ever made since the early pandemic, that gold reached around about 1,065,000 rupiah for each gram of gold on 7 August. And when we see what happened in this period, we see that there is more than 50,000 case increase in Indonesia, and also DKI Jakarta government decided to lock down for the second time. And in this situation, we think that investors start shifting to invest in something less risky than other commodities. And so you say that gold is unique asset that highly liquid, scarce, and limited. It's luxury gold and can be considered an investment opportunity with no carry counterparty risk, with a very, very good investment in this kind of situation. So we think that when crisis happen, there will be uncertainty in the market, and the investor will look for safe haven investment, including gold. As we know that safe investment is an investment that keeps its value, mostly when other investment is falling or fall by its value, and when the unstable market condition happens, the gold is very, very good investment. So because of there's many investors find and buying gold, it means that demand for the gold is increased. It means and the availability of gold is not sufficient enough to cover all the demand. It makes the gold price is flying high. It's a basic economy principle, right? And also after that, the gold price keep maintaining high. And after that, on 10 November, we see there is a very significant decrease. And also in international, also the significant decrease happened on 11 November 2020. On this moment, we look what actually happened. What is the factor that creating this significant decrease? And we found out there is two major factors. The first one is pharmacy company in United States of America, Pfizer, announced to have found clinically proven coronavirus vaccine. Why this is a fact? Because that announcement dramatically affect the gold price, and because the needs for the gold as safe investment decrease. And why? Because society paradigms change and feels that this crisis, this coronavirus will be over, and turning away the investor from gold to another riskier investment. And also the another factor is the United States of America carry out the presidential election and voting process. Why this is we affect the gold price? Because CNBC said that global stock market railed sharply on Monday after Biden was named United States president-elect after over the weekend, and were propelled even higher promising news of an effective coronavirus vaccine. This is why these two major factors affecting the decreasing of the gold price. And based on three periods that we already see in advance, this is we conclude the domino effect happened. And as you can see in here, this is the gold price since early 2020 until 28 November 2020, when this research was written. And we are also marking several important events in this graphic. As you can see, for example, when Jakarta first transitional semi-lockdown, or in Indonesia, we call it PSBB transisi or new normal in Jakarta, there is a significant decrease because probably people think that the economic crisis will recover and the dollar price becomes stronger. And also when Pfizer announced the vaccine for coronavirus on 10 November, the gold price suddenly decreased. And as we said in advance, that it creating shifting paradigm from investing to gold to another riskier investment, and the economic will recover. And based on that result and analysis, we found out that Indonesia has same pattern as and as the international gold price. And we found out there is an indirect relationship between the coronavirus and the gold price. And the concept of indirect relationship and this domino effect is the coronavirus happened, and then the government take lockdown regulation that affecting in limiting economic activity that leads into unstable economic condition or economic crisis. And this make investor run into less risky investment or safe haven, that is gold. So because of there is so many demand for gold was increased, and there is no sufficient enough availability of gold in the market, makes the gold price become higher. And several research from Joy, JP, Joss, Conover, Bohr, and Soja say that it was proven that gold can serve as safe haven for many years, uh, and can make an asset provide high degree of protection against inflation and currency depreciation over a very long period. And and we also want to remind you, based on Harvard Business Review, they say that coronavirus is not an off challenge. We should prepare to expect additional phases to the current epidemic and additional epidemic in the future. So we have to learn and understand what we are doing in this pandemic. So if this happen again, we could prepare and predict what actually will happen, even though we don't know what exactly will happen, because the factor affecting the gold price is so many. And then we are going to the conclusions. Based on research, we think that the gold price is affected by demand as the economic basic concept. When the demand become higher, the goods and not sufficient to cover the demand, the value will increase. And also when dollar exchange rate and economic crisis become spreading for factor of the demand. So coronavirus triggered both dollar and exchange rate and unstable economic condition. And also coronavirus indicate creating unstable economic conditions due to several regulations such as lockdown that limiting several economic activity, which has side effect decreasing the income, leading to unstable economic condition. And unstable economic condition triggered investor to find out safe haven or safer investment, that is gold. And when the situation become more stable, investors start leaving the gold and moving to riskier investment. That means there are decreasing demand for the gold and make the decreasing the gold price. And this is the reference that we use in this research. And also we would like to thank to all parties that supporting this research, in particular Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and also all PIT Lombok 2020 committee, Mr. Rian Cahya Romana as a gold trader that we interview, and also our beloved family and all health workers, government and survivor that fight in this pandemic situation. That's all that I can tell to all of you. Thank you so much for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.